There are many curious things to be found as one adventures. A sword floating in the middle of the air in a pristine dungeon is one such thing. "Curious!" shouted Sir Uwalt, looking at the blade. It seemed plain, not a special blade, but here it was floating. It was not in Uwalt's nature to argue that something flying on its own wasn't worth attention. He decided to make this blade his own, and his armored hand went forward, ready to clasp the handle. An odd resistance stopped him, but soon he was holding it, not able to remove his hand. Something began to pour into his armor, and while he could not see it, he could feel it, but the substance burned. He tried to pull back his hand, failing, the odd clear substance moving forward and enveloping him. Oozes are instinct-driven monsters, their acidic bodies slowly devouring any prey that gets too close. For most monsters, the advice of avoid the mouth is a good way to avoid getting eaten. An ooze is just a living digestive system with different methods of attack. There are 4 major types of oozes one might run into, all with their own method of trapping prey. The gray ooze is gray. While stationary, it looks exactly like stone, making it a perfect predator in dilapidated castles or caves. The yellow ochre displays some tactics. It's still a thoughtless blob, but it avoids large groups and prefers to ambush a straggler, able to squeeze under door frames as it pursues its prey. It's always a good thing to look behind you in a dungeon. The gelatinous cube is a bit more devious. While not moving, the gelatinous cube is see-through and only visible by the things floating inside of it. Luckily, it can't dissolve metal. Odds are, if you've run into a gelatinous cube, you literally ran into a gelatinous cube. The most dangerous type of ooze is the black pudding, which, dumb name. The black pudding will most likely be mistaken as a shadow until it attacks. No fear either, being willing to attack a member of a larger group. It still prefers ambush tactics and facilitates this primarily by crawling on the ceiling. It eats armor, flesh, weapons, anything but rock. Now, sometimes, very, very rarely, a gray ooze might have psychic powers. This is mostly observed around other psychic creatures, suggesting it's mimicked instead of learned, but that's rare. Just, if you go into an area with psychic creatures, expect the rocks to also be psychic oozes. Some advice for the ooze. First, don't try to slash it with your sword. You're sentient acid. You're more likely to damage your own blade, and sometimes cutting an ooze just makes a second ooze. Don't slash them. Don't do it. I know you want to, but don't. This is why you need multiple weapons and not just 3 different swords. The second piece of advice I have is don't try and melt it. If your favorite spell is Acid Splash, don't. Once again, these things are sentient acid. Essentially, they're the insides of stomachs that decided they could figure out that hunter-gatherer thing without worrying about the dumber parts of the body, like toes. Odds are they're a stronger acid, and you're not doing anything but wasting time. All ye adventurers who travel through dungeons, be wary of the ooze. A surprisingly strong hunter designed to take advantage of your weak party tactics. Every stone might be hungry, and clean hallways hiding an invisible beast. That shadow your torch does not illuminate may very well be a black pudding. And looking too closely might be what it needs to ensnare you. Do you want to be traveling with a naked, angry orc? If so, why? Why? But a bad run-in with an ooze is kind of the best way to achieve that.